Hey, it's Kimmy K. Last time, we covered some of the basic evidence about the existence of Merlings in Game of Thrones, and a few examples of the actions that they took and who's connected to them. Now in this video, we're going to begin to look at some of the major players in the Game of Thrones that are connected to the Merlings and all of their goals. The character that is one of the most clearly connected in A Song of Ice and Fire to Merlings has to be Patchface. Now Patchface or Patches is Stannis Baratheon's court fool and jester at Dragonstone. His face is tattooed motley, earning his name. Patchface was a jester slave in Volantis. He was a clever boy with astonishing wit, and his freedom was brought by Lord Stephen Baratheon, who was impressed by him and intended to bring him back to Storm's End from the end of his trip to the Free Cities. But unfortunately Patchface never made it back in one piece because he got into a shipwreck, which he managed to survive, but his body and mind were kind of broken. So you may be wondering, how is this fool heavily connected to the Merlings? Well, it's from the random phrases he blurts out. Patchface has a list of very suggestive quotes relating to the Merlings. One of these is when Mulagorn is talking to Jon Snow and says, "Lord Snow, who'll be leading this ranging?" Then Jon replies, "Are you offering, sir? Do I look so foolish?" That's when Patchface interferes saying, "I will lead it. I will march into the sea and out again. Under the waves we shall ride sea horses, and mermaids will blow seashells to announce our coming. Ho, oh, oh." That quote links very well to the other quote of him saying, the crow, under the sea, the crows are as white as snow. I know, ho, oh, oh." Most readers of the show believe these is a random jest for him trying to be silly like a fool, but both of these quotes are referring to the Night's Watch, going into the sea, and the existence of Merlings. Now some people believe that Patchface's wits were taken from him from the shipwreck because the Merlings managed to brainwash him when he was drowned out at sea. So, do we know of any places that perhaps there is a curious religion that demands people are drowned and brought back to life so they can be used at the Merlings' free will? That's right, the Iron Islands again. Now before we go crazy with this, what other characters do we know that have acted strange after they've been drowned at sea? Let's start with Theon Greyjoy. Before Theon seemed to go crazy with his absurd idea of turning on the Starks and taking Winterfell, what did he do? Yes, Theon had a ceremonial drowning to appease his father. Now this may not have been a real drowning like Patchface had, but Theon did not turn into a brainwashed fool. Also, another character is Davos, who was almost drowned in the Battle of the Blackwater Bay. After he survived miraculously from the explosion and the battle, he claimed to have seen the mother, and this drove him to try kill Melisandre. But wait a minute, why would we think that the command to kill Melisandre would be Merlings? Well, Melisandre does tell Jon Snow that she glimpsed the fool Patchface in her flames and considers him dangerous. So now we have two of our characters that were both affected by drowning, and they are both seen to be against Melisandre and in turn probably the Red God. Now we seem to be getting somewhere. Let's go back to Theon for a second. How could taking Winterfell help the fight against Melisandre? Well, what were the Starks doing currently when Theon made his betrayal? That's right, fighting the Lannisters. If the Starks did not constantly have setbacks like Theon, betrayals and weddings, then Tywin would be way too busy fighting Northerners to ever combat Stannis' forces. Now if Theon was doing these actions because he was influenced by the Merlings, and Davos had a vision of the mother and did actions influenced by the Merlings, and Patchface is associated with them heavily and Melisandre considers them dangerous, that means that all three of our target characters affected by this drowning are all against Melisandre. So what other characters could there be linked to the Merlings? Maybe it could be a character that is afraid of magic like Melisandre's, who is supporting the Lannisters in the fight against Stannis and not much else. Someone who has a mysterious background and we don't really know much about. Someone whose loyalties seem flipping and changing and we don't know where he stands. That's right, Varys. So what links to Merlings does Varys have? What actions has he done to combat the Red God? And where do his true loyalties really lie? We will discuss this and a lot more in part 3.